Good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. Thursday, June 19th, 2025. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, and we will take your telephone calls. One ringy dingy, two ringy dingy, 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Mostly sunny this morning, scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Some could be severe with gusty winds, highs up to the low 90s. Wait till you hear what the heat indexes are. Let's head to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a first check of the Garden State forecast. Mike, is it right? Did I see correctly that it is cooler here today than in Miami?
I think it's cooler in most places in the US than New Jersey today. We've got some extreme heat coming that really builds, Ken, for the weekend to dangerous levels. Today, just a taste of what's to come. But first, I think the bigger picture shows the severe thunderstorm threat that arrives this afternoon. We're quiet right now, but there's a big change on the way in terms of what will happen by this afternoon. We'll get to that part of the forecast in just a bit. Little touch of fog right there developing along the mountains there, well, the hills really, along 280 and to West Orange and Livingston. You see that a little reflection on the radar, the reflectivity, if you will, on the radar screen. But regarding the humidity, it is rather muggy. Temperatures already start in the mid 70s, and it's going to be a warm finish to the day, especially with temperatures running 5 to 8 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. And if you remember, this time yesterday was about 8 degrees warmer than the day prior. So there is plenty of heat and humidity around. The humidity, it just feels like a wet sponge outside. It's like walking into dog's breath, if you will. So much hot air, so much warm and humid air that'll make it feel muggy through this afternoon. Like Ken said, muggier now than in Miami, currently in New Jersey. And we had that heat advisory lasting through 8 p.m. this evening. Regarding last night, had a few thunderstorms roll through northern New Jersey. They zipped on by, helping to add to that rainfall total. But with that, have mostly clear visibility, just isolated patchy fog. You see out toward Flemington, 0-mile visibility, 2-mile visibility this morning in Ship Bottom, but everywhere else, nice and sunny. We keep it breezy today with that wind coming out of the south, gusting at times up to 30 miles per hour there in Ship Bottom and on LBI. And then the wind shifts thanks to the front that pushes through by this evening, sparking off some potentially severe thunderstorms. I'll get to the severe threat in just a moment, but we are a level 3 of 5 on the severe scale. That's from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. There's that thunderstorm that rolled through northern New Jersey last night, dropped about 3/4 of an inch of rain. So the futurecast showing hot weather arriving through 3 o'clock today, 97 actual air temperature over in Hackensack. But once that front passes, look how the temperature drops into the 70s. Now you see this line of storms, which will be pretty enhanced. It will be driven by the front and some shear in the atmosphere. It just means winds going in different directions at different altitudes. That could create some spin and potentially provide some strong gusty winds in the form of straight line winds, such as those downbursts you hear about. People think a tornado went through the neighborhood, the trees go down. Maybe not necessarily a tornado, maybe just straight line wind damage, but the potential is there going into this afternoon. So be weather aware today, especially if you're out and about. And keep that phone nearby because the severe alerts always go off when they're necessary. Throughout the day tomorrow, not as humid, but there could spark off a late day thunderstorm. And then Sunday, this is the day to watch with actual air temperatures going well up into the 90s in the morning and then touching 100, 102 by Sunday afternoon in Hackensack, 101 in Trenton. These are actual air temperatures. Wait till you see the heat index, which is far hotter when you factor in that disgusting level of humidity. The next few days, seeing a big warming trend. Tomorrow, a relief from the humidity, but I think we get a big round of storms later today. We'll tell you more about those and the severe threats coming up, Ken, in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. And we do have a lot of traffic to talk about. 71 degrees, by the way, already at this hour, 7:04. We have delays on Route 9 southbound from south of Edison Bridge in Sayreville to north of Route 35 in South Amboy. Delays on Route 1 southbound north of Plainfield Avenue in Edison, all lanes open, just volume and sunshine causing that problem. Take a look at the approach to the GWB, upper and lower level wow, this is I-95, I-80 approach. So right now, clearly your better route is on the left side, which is the lower level The upper level is bumper to bumper. Don't know why. There's got to be something, and it's not reported right now. Oh, yes, it is. It says all lanes, 20 minutes on the lower level, and right now it says it's 35 on the upper, and I think it is simply caused by volume. So that's what you got. So you're better off on the lower level. Right now, the Lincoln is a fast ride. It's only 15 to 20. Holland, 15 minutes in. It is 7:05 right now. And you know those four men who escaped from Delaney Hall in Newark last Thursday? Well, now the U.S. Attorney's Office is saying the men used mattresses and bed sheets to escape. Honduran nationals Franklin Norberto Bautista Reyes and Joel Enrique Sandoval Lopez and Juan Sebastian Castaneda Losada and Andrew Felipe Pineda Mogollon, both of those last two from Colombia, were charged with escape. Three of the four have since been caught. Pineda Mogollon remains at large, though, and the FBI has issued a $25,000 reward for information leading to his arrest. Now, get this. New Jersey State Police sources say one of the four now back in custody tried to turn himself into state police 2 days before ICE caught him. But because of New Jersey's very radical leftist sanctuary state laws, the state police couldn't do anything. They had to turn him away. And they weren't allowed to call ICE and let them know. They just had to act as if they were just on the street and watching this guy park his car. So here, the guy who everybody in the Northeast was looking for, he escaped. They all wanted because he was an alleged criminal in multiple cases of robbery, etc. State police couldn't touch him. State police had to say, do. That is what happens when you vote Democrat, folks. Remember that next time you go in. And if you're a Democrat, call me and debate me on that. This is what happens when you have liberals running things. Sorry. 7:07 is our time right now. The New Jersey Board of Public Utilities approved measures to ease the sting of recent electricity price hikes. In unanimous votes, the board greenlit a plan to defer $60 from the summer bills, offer $175 in credits to low-income ratepayers, waive reconnection fees, and extend shutoff protections through September. What does that mean? That means because of Governor Murphy's green policies to hike the cost of the electricity because he wanted to transition to a green electric grid, and we don't have a green electric grid yet. That means supply and demand kicks in, so electric rates go up. What is the governor doing? Robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. So what he's literally done is he's going to take money out of the tax base, which is what you're paying taxes on. Only the upper 50% pay taxes. And he's going to give credits. In other words, take your money and give it to somebody else who can't afford the increased rates. And the only reason the rates are increased is because he decided to go to green energy, but he decided to turn off the fossil fuel energy before he started the green energy. Remember that. 7:08 in Trenton, the Department of Labor has announced that unemployment insurance contributions have exceeded projections, leading to what will be a significant tax rate reduction for employers starting July 1st. The shift from column D to column C will save businesses an estimated $300 million in the next fiscal year. Governor Murphy hailed this as a milestone in the state's economic recovery post-COVID, easing burdens on employers while fostering job creation. Now, maybe New Jersey can take the tens of millions of dollars from the federal government for modernization that they received from Biden and the liberals during COVID, but did nothing with, and finally design a user-friendly unemployment insurance portal. You could literally hire a firm, Governor, for a couple of $100,000. You have tens of millions from the Fed skimmed off. You could take a couple of $100,000, hire an outside firm, and have a brand new website that works in just a few weeks instead of letting your state employees take that money and mismanage it. Good job there, Gov. Can't wait till he's gone. 7:09 in Medford Township, two men face charges for impersonating first responders at a May 7th crash on Route 70. Police say Matthew Schwalbe and Matthew Hesser dressed as first responders with vehicles equipped with emergency lights and sirens. Police allege they interfered at the scene. Neither is an authorized responder. Both men with prior criminal records are charged with impersonating a public servant and motor vehicle violations. A Jersey Shore Bayfront beach was closed yesterday after several tests showed high levels of fecal bacteria contamination. Health authorities say that they closed Seaside Park's Bayfront Beach after water samples collected on June 16th and 17th showed levels of bacteria that exceeded New Jersey's safe swimming standards. It's believed that all the rain that we've had of late caused water runoff from sewers. Those sewers were full of animal waste, and that's why you have high levels of fecal bacteria in the ocean water now. 7:10 in New Jersey, the COVID-19 Omicron subvariant called Nimbus is now the dominant strain, driving 37% of U.S. cases, up from 15% in just 2 weeks per CDC projections, with 140 cases reported statewide, which is very small, but it will spread fast. Nimbus apparently causes severe sore throats that they call razor blade throat, because when you swallow, it feels like there are razor blades in the top of your throat. Plus, you get cough, fever, and congestion. Experts warn of its high transmissibility, though hospitalizations are declining. So again, what seems to be happening is COVID becomes more catchy, very easy to catch it. But when you catch it, it's not so severe for most people, and you end up getting over it very quickly. So 6 of one, half dozen of another. Would you like to have a low probability of catching it, but then end up in the hospital sick as a dog, or a high probability of catching it and it's just a little cold? That's really what it's come down to at this point. We're now the second, the latter. 7-Eleven, what do all of the safest and wealthiest cities in the U.S. have in common? Those cities literally are all run by Republicans. You're looking at video from beautiful Provo, Utah. It was named the most efficient city in the United States, according to a Wallet Hub study that analyzed 148 cities on factors such as unemployment, crime, and infrastructure quality. Provo has been run by Republicans for almost 10 years. Nampa, Idaho, which is only a couple hours away from there, ranked second in the study, also under Republican leadership. The city, by the way, has the lowest property crime rate in the whole country, and a government with remarkably low debt. If you live in Nampa, there's only $478 per capita in long-term debt. In other words, the city didn't borrow and put out bonds. They don't owe anything. You know what the per capita debt is in New York City? So to live in New York City as a citizen, the minute you become a citizen, you know how much debt you take over? Over $34,000 per person, because of the rampant waste and mismanagement in New York. So it's $478 in a Republican city, over $34,000 per person in a Democrat city. Management issues, I think. Manchester, New Hampshire placed the third best city, also Republican. At the other end of the spectrum, the bad city, San Francisco, the worst run city in the whole country, with the highest debt levels and ongoing issues with crime and massive homelessness. Don't vote Democrat. Just look at what happens. 7:13, massive new flagpoles were being installed on the White House grounds yesterday after President Trump said that they were desperately needed and that he would pay for them himself if Congress didn't want to foot the bill. The placement of the two 100-foot-tall flagpoles are on the north lawn and on the south lawn, so they flank the sides of the White House. This is the north lawn right there. And apparently they were completed yesterday. I thought they were just going to begin the process yesterday. They apparently started and finished. They got them all up and done in just a couple of hours. Efficient. And the U.S. Supreme Court yesterday upheld Tennessee's ban on so-called gender-affirming care for minors. Gender-affirming care means your minor is confused about their sexuality and a surgeon will cut off their private parts. They call that gender-affirming care. It's called butchery by a lot of people on the right. It's a major setback that the Supreme Court handed transgenders yesterday. In fact, Europe, most of Europe that was all for gender-affirming care 7 years ago, they have now banned it. So we're actually coming into speed. We always praise, the liberals love to praise what Europe is doing. Well, take a look at what they did here. They also banned transgender surgery and puberty blocker treatment. In the decision, the court said that preventing minors from using puberty blockers and hormone therapy is not a violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, which requires the government to treat similarly situated people the same. Tennessee argued that these treatments have many risks when used by transgender youths who need to be protected from life-altering consequences. When they're 18, they can do what they want. When they're 12, not so much. 7:14, the U.S. government will activate an extra 2,000 National Guard troops in L.A. as a legal battle continues over the deployment. The U.S. Northern Command said the reinforcements were needed to support personnel and property in the greater Los Angeles area. Those 2,000 troops are deployed at the direction of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth using Title 10, which allows the president to call in the National Guard when the country is at risk of invasion or rebellion. Well, when you have 5,000 people holding Mexican flags in the middle of a square, screaming, "You're on stolen land. This is Mexico, not the United States," and throwing rocks and bricks at police and burning police cars. I'd say that's an invasion or rebellion, wouldn't you? And the LAPD is doing nothing about it, while federal officers are being confined under a bridge to protect their lives. Yeah, that's when the National Guard gets called in, Democrats. The confirmation of the extra personnel came hours after the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals heard arguments on whether the federal government can deploy troops to American cities or to turn over their command to Californian officials. That court temporarily overruled a Biden-appointed liberal judge. The appeals court is expected to issue a formal and final ruling in the days ahead. Seaside Heights lawmakers voted last night to create new rules for their boardwalk following an out-of-control Memorial Day weekend. 80 people were arrested. There were 4 stabbings, 10 serious car accidents, and about 100,000 people clogging the beach area. All out of control. Democrat-run town. Think about it. The changes include closing the boardwalk at midnight Monday through Thursday and at 1 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays. Backpacks will also be banned from the boardwalk, and fines were increased for those who rent properties without a certificate of occupancy or rental license. Good news. Today is June 19th, a holiday known as Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a contraction of the words June and 19th, and it marks the emancipation of enslaved Black Americans. It is observed nationally on this day, and it should be observed nationally at the very least. The story of how this came about is heart-wrenching. By the way, New Jersey officially recognizes Juneteenth tomorrow because New Jersey actually started to recognize the day before it became a federal holiday. So we in New Jersey picked the date tomorrow to have a long weekend. But otherwise, we are recognizing it. We're going to do it today because we don't have a show tomorrow. So we want to make sure we commemorate it. By the way, Juneteenth officially commemorates the day in 1865 when a Union general arrived in Galveston, Texas. Get this, to inform all the enslaved African Americans there, they've been free for a year and a half under the 1863 Emancipation Proclamation. But the slave owners in Texas, may they burn in hell, did not tell the enslaved African Americans there. So those poor people, as bad as it was that they were enslaved, as long as they were, they had to endure it another year and a half because the slave owners kept it quiet from them. And that's why we celebrate Juneteenth, to commemorate freedom. 7:17 right now, 72 degrees. When we come back, all too often teens with intellectual and developmental disabilities are left without the social opportunities they deserve. Now there's a nonprofit creating inclusive, welcoming spaces where those teens can connect. Mostly sunny this morning, scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Some could be severe with gusty winds, highs up to the low 90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with the full Garden State forecast, and we'll take calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for Thursday. I'm Ken Rosato, 718. We are taking your calls at 888-658-0234. Sun this morning, scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Some could be severe with gusty winds. We're up to the low 90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. A lot of weather to talk about. Not only today, important to be weather aware if you see those storms. Keep an eye to the forecast because Even this weekend, by Sunday, we could have dangerous heat. And there's actually a definition change, what I'll talk about in the next weather segment, that the Weather Service doesn't issue alerts anymore for excessive heat. Now they just downright call it extreme heat. We'll get to that in just a bit. As far as today, some very warm weather, uncomfortable across some central and southern New Jersey, as highs will climb into the low 90s, 94 in Toms River, 91 in Point Pleasant, 92 in Freehold, and even back over toward Trenton and Flemington, low 90s for you. So with the storms that arrive as soon as 2 o'clock today, it's a front that passes through in the afternoon, really during the peak heating of the day. And right now, it's marching its way through western Pennsylvania. So it's going to take some time before it arrives here in New Jersey. And you see how potent that line is as it crosses the Ohio Valley, that arriving here later on today. You're going to love this UV index. It is a perfect 10 today. That is very high. Again, this only happens around this time of year, since today being the summer solstice, allowing for the most sunshine of the entire year, longest day of the year, most daylight hours of the year. Very high is just one tick away from extreme. So yes, it's going to be quite warm, quite sunny today, with the radar picture showing a few of those storms that worked through Bergen County last night. Now we turn our attention to the heat. So the heat index today comes in at around 96 degrees in northeastern New Jersey, 97 there in Trenton, 96 in Medford and Millville. So plenty of hot weather around, but it does cool off a little bit tonight with that cold front, allowing for temperatures to feel like the 80s tomorrow. Not terribly hot. The trouble is, Saturday, the humidity builds back in, and that only makes for a hotter feel by the time we get to Sunday, because even though dew points are high today and very humid, it turns drier and more comfortable tomorrow briefly, and then we're right back to the high humidity by Saturday and going into Sunday with those numbers back up in the 70s. Remember, when that dew point is 70 or higher, that's tropical, and it will feel very uncomfortably warm by then. So going a little further out in time, this is the heat index through tomorrow and Sunday. By Saturday afternoon, we're back in the 90s by 4 p.m. It'll feel like 92 in Mount Holly, 95 in Trenton. But look what happens for Sunday. By 11 a.m., 101 is the feels like temperature in Hackensack, 100 in Camden. Can't even escape the heat over in Toms River. 90 gets even worse by Sunday afternoon, and this is where the excessive heat, now the extreme heat warning would likely be issued for places across the entire state. Hackensack feels like 109, feels like 109 in Newark, and 105 in Trenton. So big time heat coming. Then dangerous heat that lasts through the next several days into next week, but also doesn't even cool down at night. It'll still feel like the upper 90s and low 100s early in the morning on your morning commute. So with the problem of us not cooling down at night, tends to create a lot of stress on the body. Yeah, even if you have the air conditioning, because even just running out to the car will feel that uncomfortable. Throughout the next several days, next week, the heat remains. I think we get a break this time next week with a cold front, but it's a prolonged heat wave that's probably one of our hottest in a long time, given just how hot this next few days will be. 89 on Saturday, heat building and returning. Sunday, a statewide average of 92, but again, it'll easily feel like it's above 100. And that steamy Sunday, certainly of concern, given how it's just the beginning, Ken, of some very hot weather with a long duration event into next week.
Oh, thank goodness I hired those 30 people to run around the house with those fans for me. My gosh. Whew, man, it's a good thing to have, let me tell you. And the nice thing is they're willing to do it for only $200 an hour. I thought that was a bargain.
Oh, that's such a good, with those workman's compensation, that's really, that is a bargain.
You're awesome. Thank you very much, Mike. We'll be checking back in just a couple of seconds. By the way, it's already 72 degrees right now, which is 7 degrees warmer at this hour than it was 24 hours ago. And 24 hours ago, it was like 5 or 6 degrees warmer than 24 hours before that. So each day, as Mike predicted, as he forecast, it's why he's the show's scientist, and he is. We have seen a major increase, and it's just not cooling down overnight, as Mike said. All right, looking at traffic right now, of course, my monitors just went down because I'm being a silly man over here. We have the only real delays right now are this is really on the lower level. Actually, let's go to the GWB cam if we could, Pam. Let's see where it is. Yeah, so the lower level's moving fine. It's the upper level that had a little bit of a slowdown, and now even that's moving okay. This was it. I think I just jinxed it because I said that. Every camera, and we have about 150 cameras we could look at in the tri-state. I'm not seeing anything on the New Jersey side. Let's hope it stays that way. So right now they're saying a 25-minute crossover time on the upper level of the GWB, and it's a 20-minute on the lower level. We have 15 at the Lincoln and 15 at the Holland. That's all good for your morning commute. 7:25 right now, and Anna Gassib is a licensed counselor, entrepreneur, and equestrian, and she's the force behind Our Stable Life, an equine therapy nonprofit based at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia. This program uses the healing connection between people and horses to help veterans, children with special needs, and families coping with trauma. And this Saturday, Anna and her team are inviting the public out for an evening of food, dancing, and purpose, all to support this life-changing work. And she joins us now to talk about the so-called Boots and Barbecue Festival. I love that. The equine wellness movement in New Jersey and why a horse can be a surprising but powerful healing partner in that process. Anna, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you inviting me. So
You bet.
I'm just going to
Go ahead,
get
tell me.
right into it. So I am here with in the stalls with my horses, and they will join me at some point when they're done with their breakfast. But our Boots and Barbecue is to benefit Our Stable Life, which is a program that benefits anyone in the community that could possibly use some wellness, right? We talk about mental health, we talk about mental illness, but what about mental wellness? So it's a wraparound program where we offer equine therapy, different modalities of therapy, but obviously equine therapy is our main go-to. However, you know, one size doesn't fit all. So we do offer different modalities in that. And our program this Saturday is Boots and Barbecue. It's an introduction to line dancing. So I'll be taking pictures. I don't know that I'll be dancing. I'll try.
I love it.
So
And you know what?
we're opening it up, and it's it's a great evening. It's a fun evening for the family. It's a family event. We invite families. We encourage families to come. There will be barbecue. There'll be ice cream, and of course horses, and line dancing.
These are all good things. Anna, I only first heard about this maybe when I say this, equine therapy about 15 years ago. I had never heard of it before. And it turns out I knew of a person who had twin daughters who both had autism. And when they were around horses, everything stabilized. They were calm,
Yeah.
they could think, they could function. So our friends moved to Western New Jersey, bought a 4-acre plot of land with a stable and a horse, and these are now women who went to college and did great. What is it about equine therapy and the link between humans and horses? What is that about?
So let me first say, hats off to your friends. They went all in. Wow, that's pretty impressive. But there has been a link between humans and horses for millennia, right? If you go back to Socrates, he prescribed it as part of therapy, whether it was, and again, it was about wellness, right? Go out and ride your horse, go out in nature, go out and be with something greater than yourself, or something bigger than yourself. So there is that connection that goes throughout time. And having that presence around a horse, and having that unconditional acceptance, right? If you think about it, we're predators, they're prey. So, and that's
Mhm.
in reality. So to have that unconditional acceptance, horses level the playing field, whether you're, the king of a country, or you're somebody like me. Um, they're taking for who's showing up today, not necessarily what they don't have the baggage that we have, if you will, right? They're not interested in the grocery list that you have to get, or I had
Mhm.
an argument with my mother or father or a sister or brother yesterday. They're interested in the person who's showing up in the moment. So when those twins showed up in the moment, it was pure. It was. They were in their truth, and that's how horses live, in their
I love
truth.
that. I love that. And what's amazing is these are animals that are what? How many thousands of pounds do horses weigh? I don't even know. I know big horses could
They,
be what? 50, how much? How much?
oh yeah. So they could
Yeah.
weigh up to a ton, which is the a small car.
Yeah.
So they could weigh quite a bit.
But
But
yet, and they could kill you. I
remembering
mean, think
that.
about it. They could actually kill you, but yet they don't. It's like when you're on a horse, you are one with the horse, right? And that's got to be something that is. I mean, I've only ridden a horse a few times, so I can't really speak to what the experiences you have. But even in the few times that I rode a horse, putting your trust in the horse, and the horse is putting its trust in you as well. There's something very special about that, and I felt it connected me more to the creator, that this is a beautiful gift that we've been given.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you think about it, we are a predator and we are on the back of prey. So there's a tremendous amount of trust, not just with us trusting a 2,000-pound animal, but because they are prey and they are trusting a predator on their back. So, the indigenous individuals throughout North America or in even South America, um, it was a partnership, right? They went into war with them. They plowed their fields. They rode them through the woods. They rode them on the desert floor. So it was a partnership, and that's what it becomes, a true partnership. But it's an unconditional partnership. There has to be absolute trust both ways. Now, they are
Absolutely.
animals, right, with minds of
Right.
their own. So anything can happen, but so are we. Anything can happen.
Sure. And but this is why the amazing thing of there's that amazing connection of trust, because you are putting all your trust in the animal at that point, and the animal is choosing, after being quote unquote broken, right? But the animal at that point is choosing to allow you to tell it what to do, which is an amazing thing. And I just with the couple of minutes we have left, I want to make sure we talk about the new Equine Wellness Center at Bergen Equestrian, opened in 2024. Why was it so important to create that permanent space for this kind of therapy in New Jersey?
Well, I think it was important. Well, it was a dream that I had. And as I went down to Trenton many years ago with this dream, nobody really knew what to make of it. A mental wellness center or, mental health center with horses, like permanent. So I really didn't know what to make of it. So it was very important to carve out this type of space, this type of sacred space, if you will. And as you said, it connects many people with the creator. And as we know, research has shown that that is all part of healing. That's all part of it. So it needed to be its sacred, special place. Just like if you went into a mental health clinic, or if you went
Mhm.
into, a therapy center that offered cognitive behavioral therapy. So it's very much the same. This is our modality. This is the modality. Now, we are trained in many different modalities, but this is our go to. This is our preferred because we know it works. And we did such
Right.
extensive research with it in the past with veterans and PTSD. We did a 5-year research plan that really did kind of push it along, and now we have the science behind it. So we were
Sure.
able to get that science, get that longitudinal research done, and it was quite fascinating to see the changes in the brain and to see that yes, this there's something to this. This really works.
Right.
Maybe Socrates and the indigenous folk were correct.
And I got to pause you only because we're down to like the last 20 seconds. We're at the bottom of the hour. I just don't want to miss this out. For anyone who wants to support this incredible work, whether it's coming to Boots and Barbecue, just making a donation, or learning more, how can they get involved? What's a website for them to get in touch?
It's bergenequestrian.com. And if you go to Our Stable Life, there's a link, Our Stable Life, and it gives you all of our programs. It gives you a way to donate, obviously, and a way to get involved. So we welcome
Anna,
all.
New Jersey is very lucky to have you. And thank you so much for what you do. Licensed counselor, entrepreneur, equestrian, Anna Gassib. Please come back. And thank you so much for joining us this morning. And let the horses say we gave them a carrot from us, please.
Absolutely. Will do.
All right. Have a
Take care.
lovely
Have a
day. And
great
thank you
day.
again. You as well. Good
Thank
luck
you.
with the event. That sounds wonderful. All right. Bye-bye. Let me tell you, my friends who had the autistic daughters, and out of respect, privacy, I'm not going to mention names, but I cannot tell you how it transformed the lives of these young ladies. Equine therapy is a real thing. Go to the website, please, and learn more. You'll be amazed. And go online and see more about it. Just fascinating stuff. It is 7:35 right now. Let's forego bottom of the hour break if we can because of our time, Pam. Let's go straight to our dear friend, meteorologist Mike Favetta, who he's going to put down the heavy fans. Mike, did you put on? I have jet engines right now in the back blowing air in the house in the Rosato household. It's getting real hot.
The giant tower fan is doing its job, blowing right in. And I saw a lot of people buying the fans yesterday at the big
Hmm.
box store. So they are certainly preparing for some pretty big heat, moving the air around, very important because, as you know, you turn on a ceiling fan, it helps the air move more efficiently around the house and
Yep.
it prevents the AC from overheating. Because I think there'll be a lot of overheating here in New Jersey, Ken, going into this weekend, given just how dangerously hot the heat will be. Speaking of, we first have a severe weather threat. That's today's concern with the line of thunderstorms that comes on in. That temporarily makes it less humid across New Jersey, but big time heat and humidity returns with extreme heat by Sunday. Notice I'm not saying excessive heat anymore because the Weather Service changed the definition and the title, if you will, of the alert that they will likely put out this weekend for the extreme heat by Sunday. That's when it feels like 105 or greater for an extended period of time. Had a little touch of fog here across New Jersey. You can see the satellite, the visible one, showing the sunrise, and they're in the mountains and the hills of New Jersey. Those streaks of white right there. There's one, showing that fog just in the valleys early on this morning. Yeah, the satellite, 22,000 miles up, can see that. With the heat advisory in effect for just the central counties, Burlington, Mercer, and down towards Salem County, that lasts today through 5 p.m. for the temperatures, which will feel cooler at the coast thanks to a southerly breeze, 86 as you're high in Atlantic City, but getting all the way up into the low 90s through Camden and Hamilton. Very warm weather today. So the almanac bringing back plenty of heat and hot weather, not setting the record, but I think we'll break that by the time we get to this weekend, especially with all the hot weather around sunset, nice and late at 8:31. With the clouds and radar quiet now, this will be lit up. So you can always stay tuned to the forecast on ONNJ.com. Get the live weather radar. And maybe if you're at the beach today with the water temperature of 71 in Cape May, looking beautiful there along the waterfront. Very pleasant weather ahead. Just keep note to the water quality advisory that's around in some beaches. Oh, I have to change the UV index there. It's a 10 today. And with the surf looking very nice, it looks pleasant throughout this afternoon. Okay. Here's the important part. So the severe criteria is given by the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, and it goes on a scale of 1 to 5 with these shaded colors. Today, we're at level 3. That's an enhanced risk of severe weather, which could mean gusty winds in excess of 58 miles per hour, quarter-size hail, or even some heavy rainfall in excess of an inch. There's even that severe wind of a 30% chance. That's pretty high. That's why it's shaded in red. That's for all of New Jersey. I think the coast is excluded because these storms tend to lose their punch when they reach that cool maritime air. But even a 2% chance of a tornado today, given that line crosses the state from top to bottom. So here it is this afternoon, arriving later on today with that cold front. We back to the clear sky and less humid weather tomorrow. Tomorrow's an absolute gem. I mean, if you were looking for a work from home day and, maybe work poolside with the camera off, I think that's the day to do it, given how pretty it'll be. And then by the time we get to the weekend, we're back to the heat and humidity and just stifling levels of that muggy weather that lingers through the next several days. It's a prolonged heat that takes us into early next week with Sunday and Monday featuring even hotter weather. But Tuesday's a problem because Tuesday will easily see many records fall, as by then we will overnight be in the 70s, afternoon highs likely around 100, but it's the heat index that makes it feel like it's in the low 100s even through Wednesday. So big time heat and humidity coming, peaking on Tuesday. So it really gets bad starting Sunday, lasting through early next week. Can't even find much relief at the shore, as it'll be in the upper 80s there as well for you, thanks to that southwesterly breeze just pumping in more of this uncomfortable weather here for New Jersey. So get ready for some hot stuff, Ken, on the way.
All right. Wow. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to go put my coffee outside to heat up because it's gotten cold under the air conditioning.
Smart.
Just
You
like,
might burn
yeah,
yourself.
why not? I got blacktop out there. I bet you it's about 120 degrees at least on the blacktop.
Oh,
That's more
yeah,
than I need to heat up the coffee. That's good.
totally.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Look, 6 months ago, we were begging for something like this. So
That's
can't
right.
complain. We were saying, oh, it's cold. Now it's just what we asked for. So there you go. All right. Yeah. Oh, Pam tells me in the ear, I never complained. There, she liked the cold. She loves it cold. Give me the heat any day. All right, Mike, we'll check back. Thank you, sir. 72 degrees already at 7:40 right now. And taking a look at the traffic in the area, very, very little. This is one of those rare mornings where we don't have that much. This right now is the closest that we have. You're looking at mile marker 147.0, exit 145, entering the Garden State Parkway. So that's in the area of East Orange, approaching 78 east and west, and you're basically looking at some cars that are slowing down as they're trying to exit for Newark Airport. That's what that is in that lane there. Uh, that's not so bad. Not so bad at all. Usually at this hour, it's bumper to bumper, not moving at all. And that's the worst right there. We do have one crash that just came in on I-295. In fact, this often happens. There's got to be something on 295 in this area. It's 295 northbound, north of exit 19, which is Mantua Grove Road in West Deptford Township. The right lane and right shoulder are both closed. That happened not long ago, too. That same shoulder and right lane, both closed. Same thing. In fact, I think we may have even had that yesterday. But just avoid that area if possible. It's just a slowdown, too. Some delays on Route 21 northbound, just volume. North of exit 13, Ackerman Avenue to west of the Garden State Parkway in Clifton. All lanes are open. Just a little bit of morning volume. And again, the sun in people's eyes, that tends to cause that. We have delays too on 1 and 9 Tennessee Avenue southbound from south of 495 Route 3 in North Bergen to south of Carlton Avenue in Jersey City. All lanes open. Again, just volume at this hour. Let's take a look at the approach to the GWB. Really not a bad ride this morning. Look at this. When do you see the 8095 approach upper and lower levels empty? Pam, do you recall the last time you saw like blank roadways at this point? Because the rule is where this camera is, this is how they determine how long it'll take you to get into Manhattan. If you could see the last vehicle stopped in this shot, that means you are 30 minutes. So this tells you it's less than 30, and what we're being told is it's actually less than 20 minutes now to get into Manhattan on the GWB, upper and lower. The upper level on the right, lower on the left. So it's like 15 to 20 at the GWB, which is beautiful. Only about 15 at the Lincoln and like 10 to 15 at the Holland. Those are all good things. We got a couple of open minutes, which doesn't usually happen here. So I want to just talk about something. There is a new drug that, in fact, I had the name of it, and now let me look for it as I talk to you. I could talk with my head to the left, so please forgive me for looking away for a second. There is a new pharmaceutical. Here it is. Just found it. Thank you for letting me look away from you for a moment. Gilead, one of the big pharma companies, now has a twice yearly antiviral drug to prevent HIV. Now, let me tell you why that is so important, because there are a number of treatments and a number of preventatives for HIV right now. I am a gay man. I haven't ever made a secret of that. I have a ton of gay friends, as you would imagine. I happen to be a married man, so that's a good thing. 26 years together and married since 2016. But if I can fault my dear friends in my community, I think because of the idea of not getting pregnant, okay, to be quite frank, people in my community tend to be a little more, shall we say, ambitious when it comes to sexuality. And so when you wonder how HIV spread so quickly, it was because the responsibilities that come along with heterosexual interplay, if you will, does not come along with the same situation in the gay world. I'm trying to be as gentle during breakfast time as possible, but I think you follow. And so, unfortunately, HIV spread like wildfire in the community. Now, we have drugs that you could take every day. It used to be a cocktail of like 10 pills. Then it came down to 2 pills. Then it came down to 1 pill. And now there are multiple companies that make 1 pill that you could take every day. These pills, though, can cost like $1,000 a dose. So the gay community screamed and screamed and screamed, you got to give it to us for free. It's not fair. You're letting gay people die. And because of a lot of liberals, they said, yeah, you're right. You can't. It's being discriminatory. No, it's not being discriminatory. It is what it is. Gays are a small subset of the American population. So to spend billions to come up with a drug for a very small subset, which is what happened, it costs a lot of money. So the drug now, to make that money back, is costing a lot to distribute. The federal government stepped in and said, all right, we'll pay for it. It costs a lot. It's one of the reasons why your health insurance is so high and my health insurance is so high, is because for the people on this drug, it's expensive. But here's the problem with a lot of my gay friends. A lot of them are younger. A lot of them are a little reckless sexually. And not just gay, straight too. But the gays have to be careful because they have a quicker, easier path to passing HIV than heterosexuals. Heterosexuals can still pass it, obviously. So where am I going with this? The government provides the $1,000 a day drug, and then people in the gay community, oh, I forgot to take it today. Oh, I left them at home. Oh, I hate them. They're like horse pills. So you're given literally a bottle of $30,000 for a month of drugs from the government that everybody's paying for, and you don't even have the responsibility to pop the pill once a day to stay HIV safe. So what happens? Big Pharma comes up with an injection that maybe is a little more taxing on the liver, but for people who they say who don't, they're on the run. No, I mean, they're irresponsible. Let's just face facts. You get one shot every 2 months, but even people were forgetting that. And that shot was like a $25,000 shot. Now Gilead has come up with a shot that you only have to take once every 6 months. And it's just a little shot in the arm, and it prevents HIV for 6 months. Now, as much as part of the community, I'm thrilled because I want to see HIV infection go to zero. And I will say this, much of the research they did for retrovirals, antivirals, et cetera, for HIV actually got applied for other things, including cancer and during COVID, the height of COVID, et cetera. The research that they did for HIV treatment, they applied to these other things. My fear is now that this is going to be a $50,000 injection, and my gay friends are going to say, oh, I'll just take that injection. And once again, oh, I didn't get to the doctor. I'm busy. I'll get to the doctor next month. And I don't want to see HIV shoot up again because of irresponsibility. So to my friends who are gay, let me wrap it around. And to my friends who are straight and active, all right? If you're going to get the shot, be reliable, get it on a regular basis. Make sure you show up for your appointments, put it in your calendar. If you're going to take the pill every day. It only works if you take it, and be responsible. There are ways to prevent HIV passing. There, I've preached. Thank you for giving me the few minutes of time. 7:47 now, and it is a hot day. We're going to see some thunderstorms possible today, gusty winds. It could be dangerous weather. So just be aware of that. Always be ready, especially early this afternoon. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. We'll be back in 30. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. 7:48 right now, but it's already 72 degrees. It's room temperature outside at this early hour. Taking calls at 888-658-0234. Sunny this morning, scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Some could be severe with gusty winds, highs to the low 90s. Straight to, we'll go to meteorologist Mike Favetta. He's flipping a switch. I see you flipping that switch. I'll tap dance for a second, Mike.
Can
Mike
you
is
hear
saying we
me?
could have some. Yeah, I hear you. You want to
Okay,
talk,
it's
and
actually
we'll
the power just tripped. So I'm on battery backup
Ooh.
as we speak because the power, all the air conditioners are turning on. I'm trying to get the
Uh-huh.
TV back on because that's on a separate circuit. But yeah, I'm currently on 6 minutes of battery right now with all of my lights and
Ooh,
electronics on. So it was that, yeah, it's that intense. This
there
heat,
it
there we go,
goes.
is already showing that it could trip the power, given how what a draw all of the cooling is doing on the power grid. And I think power outages could be a concern over the next few days. Clearly evident on live TV this morning, Ken. So yeah, it's going to be a thing. High heat, high humidity already this morning. It starts off very warm with temperatures beginning in the low 90s this afternoon, and that only adds to that heat index, which will make it feel like it's around 100 at times today before the storms come in this afternoon. And some of the storms will be quite severe. Haven't seen levels of this severe type of weather for quite some time. We'll get to that coming up next. But regarding the air quality, a quick note: if you suffer from asthma or have respiratory issues, the air quality will quickly turn poor today. And it's predominantly due to the high amount of sunshine. The UV helps to break apart the atmosphere and create ozone here at the ground. And that is a pollutant since we breathe O2, oxygen, not O3, ozone. So the pollutants today combined with the sunshine will make for a problem. The severe outlook today, the scale goes on 1 to 5 from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. So it corresponds with these colors. We are a level 3 right there, orange for most of the state, even that shade of yellow there along the waterfront due to the wind. Losing a lot of its punch as those storms reach the cooler maritime air. But I think the wind could be a primary concern, specifically straight line winds as these storms tower into the atmosphere and then the downburst comes and spreads out in all directions, creating those severe gusts potentially in excess of 58 miles per hour. That's what defines a thunderstorm being severe. Or even some quarter-inch hail, certainly possible. A tornado, 2% chance likely, but not impossible. And then, of course, the air quality level back to a moderate today with this heat sticking around right through the first week of July. There's plenty of heat and humidity taking over for the next few weeks. It's not just today. It's not just next week. This lasts going into the first week of July. And we're not even in the dog days of summer, a term coined from when the star Sirius is high in the sky, the dog of Orion. That's where we get the name from. Usually happens in the late part of July. We're still a month away from that. And this is the heat that you'd expect about 4 to 5 weeks from now. So yeah, we're running a little hot here across New Jersey. It's like Italian weather, hot-headed, test the door going into Sunday into Monday with the humidity sticking around throughout Monday and Tuesday. Look at that high of 98 degrees. That's an actual air temperature. When you factor in the humidity, it'll easily feel like the low 100s. And then going into early next week as well at the shore, plenty of heat and humidity culminating in the hottest part of the day, Tuesday. Ken, this is something we're going to hear about over the next several days of just how dangerous this heat is with the extreme heat watches and warnings likely posted this weekend. It's important to stay weather aware because, even the Weather Service doesn't take this lightly, since heat-related illnesses and deaths are the #1 weather-related injury and fatality. It's a statistic here in America just due to the fact that it overtakes you so quickly without you even knowing. You think, oh, it's a beautiful summer day. And then all of a sudden you have the symptoms of heat fatigue.
Your body shuts down to
Yeah,
protect your brain, and literally
sure.
your organs can start shutting down. And one of the biggest problems is people don't drink enough water in the heat. And I'm a person who suffers from AFib, atrial fibrillation. Mine was triggered because of dehydration. It threw off my electrolytes. And once you get AFib, even though I'm in normal rhythm now, you technically always have AFib because you've taught your heart a different way to beat, and you could always
Mhm.
slip back in. The easiest way to slip in is when you don't drink enough water, and the easiest way to stay out is if you do. So make sure, especially if you're older, you don't feel thirsty on a day like this, drink 2 extra glasses of water in the morning and 2 extra glasses of water in the afternoon. Yeah, you're going to pee a little more, but you're not going to have AFib issues, and it'll be
Mhm.
better for your body. That's the only way to stay cool. We evaporate, right? We sweat.
No, it's exactly right. And the electrolyte balance is a big part of it too. And for those watching, you may say to yourself, what do these two drools know? We're talking about medical facts here on television. These are guidelines issued by the CDC and a lot of the government health organizations to give to broadcasters like us to explain,
Mhm.
hey, it's important to listen to your body. Look at these guidelines top to bottom. I even have some graphics I could share coming up in the next hour of some simple
So
tidbits
good.
because we haven't had this in a while.
This is reason 268 why I love Mike Favetta. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, you are awesome, sir. We will check back with you in a little bit. I'm going to go crank the AC some more. I'll make sure my UPS unit is working with my equipment.
Okay. Yes,
I
take
told Pam,
home power.
I told
Take
Pam I
home
have
power.
it. I'm looking at the backup unit right here. I don't have
Yeah.
it plugged in.
Ah,
My fault.
ah,
So
ah.
I have now learned I will plug it in today. I will take care of it. Thanks to you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, bud. We'll check back with you. 7:55 right now. Time for politics from Trenton Explain. Oh, Pam, let's just go right to this if we could, just because of the time. I'm a big mouth. Time for politics from Trenton Explain like nobody else can do it. Here's New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with the Inside Edge.
Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, June 19th. Welcome to the Inside Edge. And long before the founding of the Republic, there was a position called town crier, and that person's job was to read announcements from the government. So the town crier would dress up in an ornate costume and stand on a street corner, attract a crowd, and proclaim the news. Small towns streamline the system. They would post notices in a public square so that people who traveled into town from their farms to visit the general store or the post office could read about new laws or government actions and proclamations. And in the late 1800s, governments began passing laws that required public notices to be printed in widely read newspapers. And now the legislature is considering how to modernize a system that's been around since ancient civilization. And it's become a fundamental part of American democracy. And at times, legislators struggle with maintaining a one size fits all system in the 21st century. So let me tell you about one of my favorite Jersey towns, Walpack in Sussex County, with a population of 7. Walpack has a mayor and 2 council members and a total of 5 homes. And they exist on the minimum state aid package, which means the municipal portion of property taxes is 0. And every time Walpack wants to pass an ordinance, they need to spend tax dollars to publish notices in the New Jersey Herald. That's the law. They have no choice. The 3 governing body members can't just drop off copies of proposed government actions to the other 2 homes. And, it's not like everybody in Walpack doesn't know each other because that would violate the state's public notices law. And here's the kicker. The New Jersey Herald doesn't even deliver newspapers to Walpack. There's not enough customers there to make it worth their while. So Walpack pays for legal notices that are unavailable to its residents. And it's not just rural Jersey. If you live in Camden and you want to learn about what your city council's doing, it's going to cost you over $1,200 a year to buy the Courier Post to read the legal notices. And if you live in Newark, where there is no newspaper, you have to have internet and a computer or a smartphone, and you have to pay for a monthly NJ.com subscription. Underprivileged communities see their tax dollars paid to run legal notices in newspapers that they can't even afford to buy. Times are changing, everybody. We all know that. People get their local news from vibrant local weekly newspapers or from the internet. And just so you know, Warren County, which has sued the Star Ledger and Gannett to overturn the public notice law, they still have a town crier. That's it for today. The Inside Edge will return on Monday.
Thank you, David. It is 7:58, and 2 major healthcare providers are teaming up to make primary care more accessible for New Jersey residents. Amazon One Medical and Hackensack Meridian Health mark the start of their new partnership with a ribbon cutting in Edgewater, the first of several new locations planned across the region. On New Jersey's Lisa Marie Falbo takes us inside the celebration and shows us what it means for patients.
Today in Edgewater, Amazon One Medical and Hackensack Meridian Health celebrated a major milestone, the opening of their first location in the Garden State. The two healthcare leaders held a ribbon-cutting ceremony to mark the official opening of One Medical's Edgewater location.
Our whole mission is to make it easier to find, choose, afford, and connect with and engage with everything you need to get and stay well, whether that's a product or service or professional.
Patients can book same-day or next-day appointments and access 24/7 virtual care, a key part of One Medical's mission to transform how people experience healthcare.
They can get same-day appointments or, at worst case, next-day appointments. They spend more quality time with the patients. And then the Hackensack Meridian Network is available for continuity of care, for specialty care, for hospitals. We have 500 patient care locations. We have 18 hospitals.
Also announced today, a second One Medical office will open in Jersey City this July, continuing the organization's joint effort to expand primary care across the state.
One of the ways that we can affect our communities is by just getting patients to come to our offices. So the waiting room is designed with beautiful pastel colors, so people immediately feel just comfortable being in this space.
From same-day appointments to 24/7 access online, Amazon One Medical and Hackensack Meridian Health are changing the game here in the Garden State. For ONNJ Jersey, I'm Lisa Marie Falbo.
72 degrees now. It's 8 o'clock straight up. When we come back, we will be joined by Garden State Royalty, the newly crowned Miss New Jersey, also taking calls at 888-658-0234. Lots of sun this morning, scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Some could be severe with gusty winds, highs up to the low 90s. The full Garden State forecast in a moment. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. Don't go away. Very good morning, 8:01 right now, Thursday, June 19th, 2025. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Lots of sun this morning. Then by early afternoon, scattered showers and thunderstorms. Some could be severe, so be prepared for that. Be ready to seek shelter with gusty winds, highs up to the low 90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has a check of the Garden State forecast. Something we shouldn't take for granted, right?
Especially this weekend. Yes, today is like a test day. You see, can you make it through this afternoon without sweating your butt off? Probably not. I'm going to give you a little hint. It's going to be incredibly warm, especially in the sun. Remember, air temperatures are measured in the shade, and it's already 79 muggy degrees in the shade in Newark, 79 for you in Toms River. When you factor in that humidity, feels even warmer, already 11 degrees warmer than 8:02 this time yesterday. The dew points, or the temperature where the air is saturated, going up. In Long Branch, just updated to 72. Anytime this number is in the 70s, it feels tropical, and it feels downright warm all throughout the Northeast. So the heat advisory includes all of central areas of New Jersey, specifically the Philly suburbs. That'll expand northeastward and even go out toward the coast over the next few days. Visibility has improved as the sun has been doing a great job of clearing out the fog. So we're nice and warm this morning, toasty by this afternoon, and very muggy as well, with the southerly breeze pushing in all of that humidity. Now, by later today, the wind shifts direction and blows from the north and west. That will not only increase the rainfall totals thanks to the rain that comes in, but it's the front giving us our wind shift that provides first the very warm air, even through Toms River, 94 degrees by 3 o'clock this afternoon. Then you see the severe threat as the line of storms pushes in. That lasts through this afternoon and evening. Between 2 and about 7 p.m. is when that front pushes in. Could be some strong gusty winds, very isolated in nature, maybe some damaging winds with the severe threat. And then by later on tomorrow, we'll have cooler weather slightly and less humid weather. It'll feel more comfortable, but that just lasts one day. We're right back to the heat and humidity, even with some thunderstorms developing isolated in spots by Saturday afternoon. So the futurecast going into this weekend stays very hot with the potential for some heat exhaustion. There's two stages, and this is what I was mentioning before. So this is direct from the CDC, given to meteorologists by NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and it's basically giving you the knowing what to do and the signs of heat exhaustion, which include dizziness, thirst, heavy sweating, and nausea, that means get to a cool location right away. But the more dangerous side is when heat stroke sets in, and that's confusion, becoming unconscious. That's an emergency, and that's where you have to call 911. So there is a difference of knowing what is an emergency and what means just go back inside to the air conditioning. But it's certainly important given how prolonged this heat will be, even lasting into the overnights. And that's also the concern and kind of the public health threat of not being able to cool off at night when typically your body gets a chance to recuperate from the day's heat. That will not be the case beginning Sunday, and it could last at least through Wednesday of next weekend. So some very hot weather on the heels of our next heat wave here in New Jersey, and it could be quite dangerous into next week.
You got it. Hey, Mike, having had heat stroke myself once in Mexico, not good. Laying on a beach, off in a corner of a beach by myself, got up, almost passed out. The towel, I should say, you could wring out, and I was physically dry. So I was on the right side of your poster there. My skin was dry to the touch. As I stood up, nothing but stars. Luckily, a vendor nearby who was selling soda and whatnot had buckets of ice, pulled me he saw me fall. He took me to the shade, covered me with blankets, and poured cold water and ice over my body, and then called 911, their equivalent of 911. But it is a serious thing, and we just take it for granted. Oh, I'll be fine. No, you really have to be careful and make sure you hydrate.
Sure.
All right. Good advice. Thank you there, Mike. Appreciate it, sir. It is 72 here where I am in rural New Jersey. Mike is saying it's closer to 78 in the cities of New Jersey. Let's take a look right now at this is the Garden State Parkway, mile marker 147.0, exit 145, the Sussex Avenue overpass. Not too bad for this hour of the morning to the left there. That takes you to Newark Airport. It was a little heavier a few minutes ago, but fortunately it's lightening up. We do have a couple of crashes, though. Crash with injuries on US 1 southbound south of Lafayette Avenue in Edison, 2 left lanes closed, and a crash on 295 northbound north of exit 19, which is Mantua Grove Road in West Deptford Township. Think of why I'm saying West Deptford Township. Our next guest is from, I believe, Deptford, right? I see her in the corner. She's smiling, right? Just coincidence. You probably know where this is. One right lane of the 3 lanes on the right shoulder are closed right now. Take a look at the 8095 approach to the GWB. See, it's moving quite well. 20 minutes in on both the GWB and in the Lincoln Tunnel. Only 15 at the Holland. 8:06 right now. And New Jersey's newest star is Belle Nicholas, who was recently crowned Miss New Jersey 2025. With grace, poise, and a passion for making a difference, Belle is ready to represent the Garden State on the national stage. Take a look.
Your new Miss New Jersey, Belle Nicholas, Miss Seashore Line.
I love that. What an exciting moment that is. Miss New Jersey, Belle Nicholas joins us now. Congratulations, Belle, on being crowned Miss New Jersey 2025. Good to have you on.
Thank you so much, Ken. Good morning.
Good morning to you. And you are from, are you from Deptford, West Deptford? What area are you from?
I'm from
All
West
right, so
Deptford,
just
yes.
that was not, I just happened to look up your bio a minute before we went on, and literally, I'm not kidding. It just happened to pop up on the map. I didn't do it. An accident happened to pop up in your town as we're about to go to you. We call that a God incidence when something like that happens. But good to have you on. Walk us through what that moment that we just saw. What does that feel like after I'm sure it was a years long process to get to that point. So when you heard your name called, what went through your mind?
Yes, well, it was absolutely surreal. And I had worked for 4 years to get to this point. A lot of girls that compete in the Miss America organization work year after year to try to get to the point where they can become a state title holder. So when they called my first runner-up's name, Parker McAllen, it was, first of all, so exciting to have her have that acknowledgement. But also for me, it was just, wow, I don't think I had any thoughts in my head. It's one of those moments where you kind of like black out because you're just so overwhelmed by the fact that your dream is coming true. You have this opportunity to represent your state, to represent your community service initiative, which mine is mental health. And I just am so excited to spend this year representing Miss America, representing New Jersey, and representing mental health survivors all across our country.
I love that. And let's go back to 4 years ago. What inspired you initially to compete in the Miss New Jersey pageant, and how did your journey begin in pageantry? Because it's a big process.
Yes. Well, I am not one of those girls that grew up doing pageants. I did a township pageant when I was like 5 years old. But when I graduated in 2021 from James Madison University with my degree in musical theater, I decided that I didn't want to be an actor anymore. So I went through 4 years of school and I changed my mind, which is absolutely okay.
Mhm.
But I wanted to become a psychologist, which costs a lot of money. And going to graduate school is something that I wanted. First of all, I didn't have a lot of the classes that I needed in order to get into a graduate program, but also I needed financial support. So my mom had suggested competing. She used to be a choreographer for a girl that had competed named Hannah. And she said, "Why don't you just give it a shot?" I was like, all right, I'll try it. 2 weeks before my first local competition, I decided to compete. And ever since, I've just been in love with it. Now I've earned upwards of $40,000 for my graduate degree. I'm currently a third year student at Widener University's Institute of Graduate Clinical Psychology, and I should be getting my doctorate hopefully in 2028. So Miss America made that dream possible, and I'm so grateful I took the leap. And I hope other young women, after hearing my story, will want to join and have this life-changing experience.
I love that. You'll have a roster of patients, all these like men coming in saying, "Yeah, doc, I'm real stressed. I got to come in. Why is it that my husband never misses his appointment with his psychologist?" I love it. No, I just think that's brilliant because I think a lot of people don't get the educational component. You know, a lot of people who want to be dismissive of pageants don't realize you have
Mhm.
serious students
Yeah.
in pageants today. You not only do you have to be physically fit, you have to work out, you have to take care of your looks, take care of your hair, everything else, your outfits. But then there's also the educational component. So talk about
Mhm.
again how do you balance taking care of all of that and keeping up your studies to get into psychology.
I'm very lucky that I have a lot of support. So my family is really supportive, my friends are very supportive, but also my program is supportive, and we are always in communication, kind of about what's going on and the expectations. I'm also currently doing my clinical hours to earn the time that I need in order to get licensed after I graduate, and they're also very supportive of me there. So it's really about the communication. And I also want to hit on something that you said. Not only is it about the education, but I think what else is missed about the Miss America opportunity is that it is a service program. So Miss America
Mhm.
is the biggest service program in the country. You have women volunteering in all different capacities, and that's the most important piece, is that we are volunteers. Service comes first, and I'm excited to serve the Garden State this year.
So, as you prepare to represent New Jersey nationally with the national contest, what unique qualities do you believe you bring to the national stage?
The one thing that stands out to me is the fact that I'm a mental health survivor. I survived suicidal ideation and anxiety and depression at the age of 17. And now that I have the education to back that up, I have a unique perspective that I bring to that. Not only do I think it's important to talk about mental health because we need more people to be aware of it, but I also think we need more people to take action. And that action piece is something that I feel is unique to me. But also, I think that my life transition of going from having a degree in musical theater to becoming a psychologist is something that's very unique and something that's inspiring, because when I go to schools and I talk to seniors, they're often very worried about, am I making the right choice? Am I deciding the right thing for me? And I always tell them, it doesn't matter if you make a choice now and you change your mind later. It's what you do with that change, it's what you do with that lesson. And I think that's something that a lot of people would hear of any age and feel really reassured and feel inspired and empowered to live a life that's fulfilling to them.
It's awesome. And so many of these pageants are about empowerment and leadership. And how do you hope to inspire other young women and girls across New Jersey with the whole journey that you had, and young women maybe who feel that I don't have it in me, I can't do this. What would you tell them?
Anyone can be Miss New Jersey. Anyone can be Miss America. When I started in Miss America, I was 22 years old and I did not have any self-confidence. I didn't have very many public speaking skills. I wasn't very good at networking, and Miss America helped me to strengthen all of those things. The mentorship that I've had through my local competitions and through coming to the state pageant and working with former Miss New Jerseys has really it's excelled my confidence. It's made me feel more empowered to go out and to reach out, to make connections like the Mental Health Association in New Jersey and the American Heart Association chapter in New Jersey. And all of this happens because of pageants. If you put yourself out there and just take the leap, your life is going to change. You are going to grow, not just professionally, but also personally. And you're going to find a life that really feels fulfilling to you and a purpose that you have been destined to have your whole life.
And by the way, I mean, just the idea that Miss America, I mean, New Jersey, Atlantic City, that's always been the epicenter, right? So we're in the state where the epicenter was. What are your goals for your time as Miss New Jersey, both in the community and as you compete now for the? And by the way, when is the national contest?
It will be in September. We're still waiting for those details to be released. They're actually going to be released today by Miss America, so that's really exciting. But in terms of my year, there's some priorities that I have. First of all, I want to bring more women into this program. I really hope that
Mhm.
women are inspired to join because I want women to have access to education. I want women to feel empowered to be their best selves. So that's my top priority. I also really want to spend this year taking more action for mental health changes. I have some things in the works in order to make that happen, potentially a webinar series with the Mental Health Association. I do a walk every year in order to raise funds for the collaborative support programs of New Jersey. So I'm looking forward to expanding that walk this year. And I really just want to visit with every community that I can and to meet them and to learn from them. I think as much as I'm out there serving the community, I also learn so much from all of the people in New Jersey. We have such an amazingly diverse state, and there are so many different experiences out there that are waiting to be tapped into and stories that are waiting to be told. So I'm looking forward to that.
I love it. Well, I know that, as you mentioned, it's a service organization. You're going to be doing a lot of charitable representation, and that's a lot for people that don't realize that's a lot of your time. While you're still doing your studies, you have to represent the organization, right? Going to all these fundraisers and stuff, and that's you're an ambassador, is what you are. And people have their organizations that they need you there, and you will help draw a lot of people to help them raise money. So that's a big responsibility. So please listen, this show, let our show be a forum for you. You could use this at any time to help promote your events. We would love to have you back. You're wonderful, and we're just so proud of you. Congratulations, Miss New Jersey, Belle Nicholas, on your victory. Best of luck with the year. All the best for the national contest, and thank you so much for coming this morning. Great to have you, Helen.
Thank you so much for having me, Ken. Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you. 8:17 right now, 72 degrees in the suburbs of New Jersey, and it's up to 77, 78 in the more urban centers, 74 right now in Trenton as I look down. Mostly sunny this morning, scattered showers, thunderstorms this afternoon. Some could be severe with gusty winds, highs up to the low 90s. Mike will be back with a full Garden State forecast. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. Don't go away. And a very good morning to you. Welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. 8:19 is our time, 72 in the rural parts of New Jersey. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast and some possible severe weather coming up today. Good morning, Mike.
That's right, Ken. Good morning to you. There is the threat of some damaging gusty winds throughout this afternoon, as the forecast has that line of severe weather moving through New Jersey, specifically central New Jersey, away from the coast. You have the best chance of seeing that severe weather, with temperatures reaching the low 90s before then. Even at the coasts, 87 for you in Long Branch, 94 in Toms River. Plenty of heat and humidity today. So here's the line of storms working through the Northeast. That is the front that will provide our severe weather threat later today. And even yesterday, you see in the loop here how potent that line was, energized by the afternoon sun. Once the sun gets going this afternoon, it'll heat things up and give us a UV index of a 10, which is very high. A 10 only happens around this time of year, right on the summer solstice today. Happy first day of summer, by the way, everyone, with the very high level of UV around this afternoon. Could burn in less than 15 minutes on fair unprotected skin. Had a few rogue storms move through northern New Jersey last night with the lightning and the thunder. Well, today, with the heat index up around 96 before those storms pass through, after the storms move on by, we'll see that number drop dramatically. So a nice cooling effect, and it also drops the humidity too, leading to a more comfortable feel on your Friday. You can see that with the dew points, going from the 70s today into the 50s tomorrow, that lovely shade of yellow here, indicating a less humid feel, more dry weather moving in. But it only lasts one day, because by Sunday, we're back into those 60s and 70s and just feels like rainforest levels of humidity. That promotes a heat index that is triple digits by Sunday afternoon. So even Saturday is warm. It'll feel like the 90s by Saturday afternoon. Look at what happens for Sunday. By 11 a.m. feels like 101 in Hackensack, 101 in Newark, 100 in Camden, getting up to what will feel like 103 in Flemington and 108 in Hackensack, even 103 in Medford. So some extreme heat on the way. And those aren't my words. That's the definition the Weather Service gives this type of heat advisory now, a extreme heat warning likely issued for this weekend, but they only issue it 24 hours in advance of that severe weather threat. So in addition to the heat and humidity on Sunday, it lasts going into Wednesday of next week, likely culminating in a Tuesday, hottest day in a very long time. I mean, I have to go back and look at the records to see just how long, but yeah, it would likely see temperature records fall, not just for the daytime highs, but also the overnight lows, meaning it never gets below a certain temperature at night. We also keep records for those too. And I think that'll be the case going into the first part of next week, leading into a steamy Sunday with some very hot weather that takes over and just doesn't want to quit. Doesn't want to quit, Ken, even into the first few days of summer.
Don't quit. Don't quit. All right, there we go, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. It is 72 in rural New Jersey, 77, 78 in the city areas. Very hot, very sticky. That should be the daytime high, not the morning start, but that's what it is. It's a little heat dome over New Jersey. 8:22 is our time. In terms of traffic, the one camera that we have is showing some traffic is mile marker 147.0, exit 145, the Sussex Avenue overpass on the Garden State Parkway. And we have a little theory, because off to the left, that takes you to Newark Airport. And we're now seeing that a lot of the airport terminal parking lots are at 95 to 100% capacity. So if you're headed to an airport and if you're driving, I should say, and you don't have a parking space reserved, you may want to do that. Get on an app, pull over, of course, get on an app and reserve parking, because apparently a lot of the lots are already congested. Being that it's Juneteenth and a lot of kids are now out of school, I think people are using this as an opportunity to get out for the long weekend. Just a reminder that New Jersey celebrates Juneteenth tomorrow. The federal government celebrates it today. Technically, today is Juneteenth. It's June 19th. The New Jersey legislature made it a holiday for the Friday, so you'd have a long weekend. But they did it before the federal government made it a holiday, so they were trying to act proactively. But that's the reality. I think people are getting out of town a little early as a result. So that's why we have that traffic there, I believe. In fact, yes, now we see the JFK Airport. Terminal 4 parking is almost 100% occupied. So you might want to use an outside parking facility. Just make sure they have transportation to get you to the airport. Not all of them do. If you see the cheapest price, double check they have a shuttle. Many of them do not have shuttles anymore, and they make you take an Uber or a Lyft. 824 right now, we have delays on the Garden State southbound exiting 130BA, which is US 1 and Woodbridge, all due to volume. The approach to the GWB upper and lower levels, not bad at all this morning. Look at this. Wide open. This is only 15 to 20 getting into Manhattan. It's only 15 at the Lincoln and 10 to 15 at the Holland. 824 is our time right now. Karen Reed was found not guilty yesterday in the murder of her Boston cop boyfriend, and the judge let her off with a slap on the wrist at her second trial for drunk driving. The victory ends a years-long trial, if you will, a slap on the wrist this time out. This is all something that captivated the country, with hundreds of Reed supporters flooding the Massachusetts courthouse to cheer her yesterday. Reed was accused of leaving John O'Keefe to die in a 2022 snowstorm after hitting him with her car outside a suburban Boston house party. She was acquitted of both second-degree murder and leaving the scene of an accident causing death. Many people saying the judge in the case was very anti-cop and very pro-woman. And in this case, with all the evidence suggesting that she did this intentionally, even the evidence that this was her second drunk driving offense, she got a slap on the wrist for it. New Jersey, you go to jail in other states for this. But the female judge seems to hate the cops because there was some suggestion that the police may have rallied against her because this was a fellow cop who was killed. So this is Massachusetts liberal justice, just saying. 825, President Trump told senior aides late Tuesday that he approved of attack plans for Iran, but was holding off on giving the final order to see if Tehran would abandon its nuclear program. In the meantime, the U.S. has moved its newest supercarrier, the USS Gerald Ford, to the Mediterranean. Trump is hoping the threatening to join Israel's strikes on Iran will compel Tehran to meet his demands. He acknowledged a U.S. attack was under consideration, but said that he still may decide against it. Israel began its airstrikes against Iran's nuclear infrastructure, military leadership, and other targets last week, dubbing the mission Operation Rising Lion. The Israeli military has struck more than 1,100 targets in Iran so far. Iran just struck an Israeli hospital yesterday afternoon. Meanwhile, several TV broadcasts in Iran were apparently hacked. In fact, they've been hacked for about 18 hours, with pictures and calls for the public to rise up and take to the streets in protest against the government. This is satellite TV. You're watching what happened. That person right there is not one of the authorized news anchors in Iran. So people who have satellite TV in Tehran, they see this guy, and this guy is saying, rise up. So he's part of this opposition-linked group called Iran International. And apparently this only affected satellite broadcasts, but nonetheless, that impacts hundreds of thousands of residents in Iran. The U.S. Supreme Court dealt a major blow to transgender activists yesterday, issuing a sweeping decision that may have implications beyond the medical care that was at the center of one of the court's highest profile disputes this year. The 6-3 ruling let stand a Tennessee law that banned puberty blockers and hormone therapy for minors seeking to transition. Remember, once they start the puberty blockers or the surgery, it's for life. And all Tennessee was saying is wait until you're 18, then you can do what you want. And you have people who are so radical in the liberal and transgender communities. They're saying, no, no, no. If they're 8 and they say that they're the opposite sex, you have to let them have shots and cut off their privates. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? We're going to look back on this era and say these people were crazy. Transgender extremists frame the ruling as a devastating loss. Just let them wait till 18. The decision came amid a much broader debate over other laws, too, aimed at transgender people, including the question of whether biological men who identify as women can play in women's sports. The Federal Reserve yesterday kept interest rates steady amid the possibility of higher inflation and lower economic growth ahead, yet still pointed to 2 reductions that could be possible later this year. With markets expecting no chance of a central bank move this week, the Federal Open Market Committee kept its key borrowing rate targeted in a range of 4.25 to 4.5%. Right there, that's the head of the Fed, the guy that President Trump wants to replace. And there's been a lot of resistance saying the president doesn't have the authority to replace him. But the president argues, yes, if you read the rules, you can. That guy right there hates the president, despises the president. And this guy right there that you're saying, excuse the ring. I don't know why I have a ring going on here. But that guy wants the Fed to keep the rates steady, even though in Europe, their equivalent to the Fed has lowered interest rates multiple times in the 5 months since President Trump has been president here. He refuses to lower interest rates because the only reason you keep interest rates high is if inflation is high. Inflation has been knocked down to nothing under President Trump. So there's no reason to keep inflation, to keep the Fed rate so high. He just hates Trump. And that's why Trump wants him out. So do a lot of people. A lot of people on Wall Street initially were taking his side a couple of months ago. Now they realize he's being an ass. He's just being an anti-Trump, Trump-hating ass and needs to go. You know those 4 men who escaped from Delaney Hall in Newark last Thursday? Well, now the U.S. Attorney's Office is saying the men used mattresses and bed sheets to escape. Honduran nationals Franklin Norberto Bautista Reyes and Joel Enrique Sandoval Lopez and Juan Sebastian Castaneda Losada and Andrew Felipe Pineda Mogollon, both of those latter from Colombia, were all charged with escape. 3 of the 4 have since been caught. Pineda Mogollon remains at large. The FBI has issued a $25,000 reward for information leading to his arrest. And get this, New Jersey State Police sources say one of the 4 now back in custody tried to turn himself in at a state police barracks 2 days before ICE caught up with him. But the state police couldn't do anything because of the radical liberals that run this fricking state. So even though he is wanted for burglary, other crimes, he is here illegally. He said, all right, I'm the guy. Arrest me. Take me in. But because of Governor Murphy and his left-wing radical socialist bastards who run this state, and all of you people who insist on voting Democrat, because he's a nice guy. Yeah, so what? He's a Democrat. They're all the same. No, they're not all the same. So you have a potential criminal who turned himself in, but the Democrats told the state police, let him go. So if he went out there and raped and murdered your kid, it's on you for voting Democrat. That's what happens. Going back to the Republican side at 8:31, great economic news for the Trump administration. Trump's pro-growth America First policies have led to real wages for hourly workers to surge by 2% in his first 5 months on the job. That is the strongest growth in 60 years. The only other president to do anything close to that, by the way, was a guy named President Trump in his first term. So clearly his methods work. Take a deep breath, okay? In Trenton, the Department of Labor has announced that unemployment insurance contributions have exceeded projections, leading to what will be a significant tax rate reduction for employers starting July 1st of 2025. The shift from column D to column C will save businesses an estimated $300 million in the next fiscal year. Governor Murphy hailed this as a milestone in the state's economic recovery post-COVID, easing burdens on employers while fostering job creation. 8:31 is our time. Pam, let's forego the break if we could and move forward. We have National Smoothie Day coming up this weekend. We're going to talk to a couple of smoothie pros in just a couple of moments, and they'll help us properly celebrate. In the meantime, at 8:32, it is time for meteorologist Mike Favetta on what is an extraordinarily hot, humid, muggy day, and we are in what they're calling a heat dome. So heat dome is something that people like me, who like the heat, we put a little dome over our heads. We call it a heat dome. Meteorologist Mike Favetta is going to tell me how. No, Ken, that's not a heat dome, silly. I know what it is, but you don't. So please, what is a heat dome, Mike?
A heat dome. So you've heard of high pressure, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's why we all take blood pressure lowering medication. Just deal with high pressure all day long. No, it's actually because there is the air high above our heads is sinking, allowing for this higher pressure at the surface, but it also creates a dome of energy, like a bowl, if you will, of hot air. Because as we know, hot air rises, but it creates this hydrostatic equilibrium, little fancy term for you, in the atmosphere to allow for the high pressure to steer any storms away from us, promoting stagnant air, poor air quality, temperatures that go out of control, which you will see on the 7-day, as well as the threat of just general uncomfortable and ickiness around New Jersey.
Ickiness, that's a meteorological term.
Ickiness is a meteorological term. Yes, Yes, I was reading over some documents. I'm sorry if I wasn't paying attention, but
No,
thank you for
you're good. I
catching.
was busy
I
talking
appreciate
about
it.
heat domes.
He does. And I just hear Pam. She's like, Mike. So thank you, Pam. Thank you. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those days where you look outside and go, oh, it's so pretty, and then you open the door and step outside, and wow, is there a change in the weather? It is hot, it is humid, and it stays very uncomfortable throughout this afternoon, especially with that threat of severe weather developing after 2 o'clock today with the severe storms likely, mostly a threat of gusty winds. That promotes less humid weather tomorrow, so it'll feel more comfortable just briefly before more weekend humidity arrives. And then the big time heat, the extreme heat, comes in on Sunday. The morning fog now dissipating. You can see right there in the valleys of New Jersey, all gone. So we're dry, we're clear, and it will make for a very humid feel throughout this afternoon because that fog of the clouds at the ground go from the cloud droplets to the water vapor droplets, and that makes it more of a humid feel, like steam bath heat throughout this afternoon. A little bit of relief at the shore today. If you're looking to head out, you get sunset until 8:31, so plenty of clear sky through this afternoon. Just keep an eye to the sky behind you if you're headed to the beach today to cool off, because that's the direction the thunderstorms will be coming from. And if you're enjoying that water temperature of 71 degrees, yeah, you'll see a pretty distinct line of storms entering the beach throughout this afternoon. Remember, there is a water quality advisory for some beaches, so check in with the lifeguards. UV index of a 10 today, which is very high. And of course, the severe weather threat specifically west of the Parkway, because with a southerly breeze, you get that cooler marine air, which tends to suck the life out of those storms as they approach the coast. But inland areas will see a pretty good chance of severe wind. That's a level 3 on the scale of 1 to 5. All the areas shaded in red, and yeah, even a potential for a tornado or two, a weak one, as that front pushes by. So it's a cold front that'll give us some gusty winds, some lightning, some thunder, maybe even some small hail. That all clears out for tomorrow. Lots of sunshine on your Sunday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but it's the heat that builds each and every day that makes it quite uncomfortable, especially with overall a really, really warm finish to next week. So we finish out the weekend with a high of 92, and then by Monday and Tuesday of next week, look at how warm it gets, culminating in a 98-degree high by the end of Tuesday afternoon. I think that'll be the worst day of the heat. So it's the not only the afternoon highs, but the overnight lows that will be quite warm, stuck, Ken, in the low 70s. So a very warm period ahead with that heat wave beginning as soon as Saturday.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. It is still 72 degrees in suburbia here and 74 Trenton, 76 in Newark at this hour. We have one roadway to look at right now. This is mile marker 147.0 on the Garden State Parkway. Oh, now it's moving, Pam. Look at that. Of course, when we go to take it on the air, it's moving. But those left lanes go toward Newark Airport. They were kind of heavy a couple of minutes ago, and now, of course, everything's moving just great. The good news is we don't have a lot of traffic in the tri-state today, and I think it's because a lot of people are out of town or headed out. The only thing we do want to give you a heads up on is if you're headed to any of the area airports, make sure you have your parking booked if you're driving, because a lot of the lots are already packed. They're full. So I think people are taking advantage of Juneteenth, the long weekend, and they've gotten out of Dodge. So that may very well be the case. Let's take a look at the approach to the GWB. It too is moving beautifully. We're told it's only about 15 to 20 into Manhattan on the GWB. It's 10 to 15 at the Lincoln, 10 minutes at the Holland. 8:37, Mike's talking about all this enormous heat. You know what helps cool you down when you got a lot of heat? Smoothies for you. Did you know that National Smoothie Day is just around the corner this Saturday, June 21st, when it's still going to be very hot? Joining me now is Amit Patel, who is owner of Vitality Bowls in Hackensack, and Chris Ramirez, a Vitality Bowls team member, to share tips on crafting healthy and delicious smoothies. Welcome, Amit and Chris, and tell us what you've got in store for us today. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. This is Amit here, and this is Chris here. We gonna make some good, great smoothie here. We will demonstrate to how to make a smoothie at home. Very simple ingredients to use. We are here at Vitality Bowl in Hackensack. We serve healthy, nutritional smoothies, acai bowls, salads and wraps and other healthy ingredients, healthy products we sell here. We're gonna celebrate the smoothie day with you, where we're gonna demonstrate a simple smoothie where you can get your ingredients from the refrigerator and your pantry and make a simple smoothie at home. Chris will demonstrate here now how to make a acai elixir smoothie. That's what we sell at our locations. You can use any juice. Chris, can you start making smoothie for us?
So I'm gonna show you how to make a smoothie easy, fast, and delicious. So first, you put your juice, blueberry juice.
Nice.
Then we put our half of package of acai.
And acai, Chris, can you hear me? Acai is really good for you, right? There's tons of antioxidants in that, even blueberries. That's really
Yeah, a
good
lot
for
of
you.
antioxidants. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, acai berries have highest antioxidants that can help your body to get refreshing and cleans up your body and your blood system, actually.
That's fantastic, and it tastes great too. I know that's big from. It's called acai because it comes from Brazil. That's one of their big national berries,
Brazil,
and
yeah.
it's everywhere now.
Brazil.
Good stuff. So what else you got in there, Chris?
So then we put our bananas over here. Then we put our berries. And then when it's done, you put it on a grainer. You blend it, and then when it's blended, you're gonna look like this. Take a look.
He has the transition. I
See?
love it. I love it. That's
So
great.
you can
And
look.
I noticed
Then
you guys
ready.
didn't add any sugar at all. This was pure fruit, right?
That is correct. So our smoothies and our acai bowl, we don't add any additives like sugar or any preservatives or anything like that. What you get is just frozen fruits and vegetables. To just let you know that if you wanted to add some greens to get more fibers, you can do it also. If you wanted to have some tropical fruit flavors, then you can add some pineapples, some oranges, whatever you could get in your pantry and make a refreshing smoothie at home.
My favorite, if I could admit, is I love getting frozen mango. Frozen mango in there, man, it just takes over the whole taste of a smoothie. It's so good and so good for
You
you.
are
But I
exactly
love the
right.
fact that
Yep.
you have such great antioxidants in there between the blueberries and the acai, and then the bananas just make it. I have a friend of mine who always said he hated bananas until he started making smoothies himself. And by the way, I've been to Vitality Bowls. You guys are fantastic. But bananas just add that richness and that creaminess without any cream, right? You get that nice, smooth, creamy quality as if you put cream in there, but there's no cream at all for people who don't want dairy.
That is correct. That is correct. And we don't add any kind of frozen yogurt or anything like that as additives.
That's awesome. What is your favorite? Let's go with Chris first. What is your favorite if you were
So
to make your
yeah, there it
favorite
is. So then
smoothie?
when it's ready, you put it in the cup.
What's your favorite smoothie?
My favorite smoothie?
Yeah,
My favorite smoothie called Purple Passion smoothie. It's right here. We have it right here.
cool. So what's in
That's
that?
purple passion.
This one basically has apple juice. It has spirulina. It has pitaya. You know what pitaya means? Pitaya is dragon fruit and
Cool.
bananas. So it's gonna taste really sweet, and delicious.
That's awesome. And I know that spirulina is another great ingredient. And the thing is, you barely taste it, but it adds fiber and so many other nutrients to a smoothie like that to make it healthy. I think part of the problem is years ago, when the smoothie craze began, I think a lot of people turned it into a milkshake, right? They took a good healthy idea, but then they added sugar, they added too much sweetened peanut butter, they added stuff that made it unhealthy. But keeping it the way you keep it very good for you, which is a really great thing because you don't want to drink a smoothie and feel weighted down and sugared up. You want to be healthy. You want to have a good workout and have a smoothie.
That is correct. That is correct.
So can you add protein powders and stuff if somebody asks?
Yeah, so we do have a different nutritions like protein, pea protein, we have whey protein, we have acai chia seeds, we have um, uh, coconut flakes. We have like 20 different ingredients that you can add on to the smoothie to make your day going better.
You are perfect year round, but you're especially perfect on a hot time of year like we have right now with this heat wave. What better way to stay cool than with a good nutritious smoothie? You get some natural energy from the natural sugar in the fruit, and there's lots of fiber and vitamins. If you're going to have some sweetness, if you will, it might as well be fructose as opposed to sucrose or artificial syrups, which you do not add. It's good that you're keeping it healthy and keeping people healthy. Amit and Chris, it's just wonderful to have you on. I wish you nothing but the best with the company there, Vitality Bowls. You're in Hackensack. Amit Patel, Chris Ramirez. Thank you both for joining us this morning. I'll pop in. I'll get a smoothie. So we'll definitely see you soon. Stay cool in the seat.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You bet. Have a good one. 8:44 right now, mostly sunny this morning, scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Some could be severe with gusty winds, highs in the low 90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with a full Garden State forecast, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Hello again. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. It is 8:45, 72 degrees, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Mostly sunny this morning, scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Some could be severe with gusty winds, highs up to the low 90s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. And Mike, that segment on the smoothies from
Yeah.
Vitality Bowls makes me want to go upstairs right now and make one, or better yet, go to Vitality Bowls and let them make it for me.
I was just thinking, what frozen fruit do I have in the freezer to stick in the blender? Because it is one of those days that you need like a fresh mango. My mouth was watering, by the way, when you said mango smoothie. Also, one of my favorites.
My favorite.
We haven't introduced Antonino yet to mangoes, but he's done other fruits. So we're on the way. We're getting there.
Good.
I think he'll be a big fan of the mango smoothie. Yeah.
By the way, what do you think what do you think mangoes taste like? I always think that they taste like a tropical peach.
Yeah, I would go with that. But it's a delicate flavor. Like if you add orange juice, it just overpowers it.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, I'm sorry. I'm holding you up. Go
No,
ahead.
it's fine.
Forgive me.
Another sidebar, my favorite thing is the mango shaved ice that they have in Taiwan. I was there for UN climate conference, and it was one of the most life-changing culinary experiences of my life. Mango, it's just like a giant heaping pile of mango shaved ice, and they come out and serve it to you, and it's the best thing ever. So, gotta try
Delicious.
that. Gotta try
Yeah.
it.
Now you got my mouth watering.
I think we need like a spin-off food show here, you know?
Deal.
The
Let's
third
talk to
hour
Gerald.
of On New Jersey Mornings. Yeah. we've got great weather on the way for today. Excellent weather to maybe have some mango smoothies by the pool or by the beach. Just keep an eye to the sky because there will be some thunderstorms coming through this afternoon. You will hear the lightning. There will be lightning with these storms, but did you know lightning does not make a thunderstorm severe? All thunderstorms contain lightning. It's the wind speed, gusts higher than 58 miles per hour, and the potential for quarter-sized hail, 1 inch in diameter, or of course the very heavy rains, greater than 1 inch, that make a storm severe. That's likely what's happening today with poor air quality in place. The air quality numbers likely rising thanks to all of the ozone here at the ground and the atmospheric pollutants. And of course, yes, the level 3 out of 5 risk of severe weather. So an enhanced risk through this afternoon, specifically regarding wind, hence the red, yellow at the coast, hot dog colors here with mustard right there. Another summertime feel all about the food today. And then, of course, a small chance of tornadoes because of the steering currents in the atmosphere, the shear that could allow for some spin in the upper atmosphere. There is the hot weather that lasts through the first part of July, and then going into the end of the month, all of that blob of red there shows just how above average temperatures will be for the next several weeks, even have a slightly higher risk of rainfall. But again, it's just going to be, I think, a hot period ahead. That's the key takeaway through Sunday, probably our first extreme heat warning ever. The reason I say that, it's not a buzz headline. It's because the Weather Service changed the definition of any time the heat index is above 105. It went from an excessive heat warning, which is now retired, and replaced by extreme heat warning. So that's the new advisory and the alert that you'll get from the Weather Service probably later on this weekend and probably last into Tuesday. Look at that, 98 degrees actual air temperature, heat index well into the 100s by early next week. So get ready for the big heat on Saturday, even toward the beaches. I think you'll find a little bit of relief along the waterfronts, but you literally have to be on the sand to enjoy that cooling feel, thanks to all of the very hot weather, Ken, that's around. Even water temperatures are warming into the low 70s, which is unusually warm for late June. It's typically pretty frigid this time of year in the water.
Well, heck yeah. Heck yeah. In fact, we were just, as you know, 'cause I've talked about it enough, we were just in Portugal, and as beautiful as the water was,
Yeah.
we thought, oh, look at this pristine water. You dip your toe in, it was only in the 60s in
Ooh,
Portugal, even though
really?
the air temperature was, it was in the 70s, but the
Yeah.
sun was very strong. You would think there'd be enough radiational warming, but no, the Atlantic Ocean there was bitter cold. So we certainly, it was kind of like what the Pacific is here. You know, you go to
Yeah, sure.
California, it looks so pretty, but
Right.
it's so cold.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that it's in the 70s. So the Jersey Shore, the shore is getting ready. It's a good thing. All right, Mike, enjoy your day and enjoy your
You too.
weekend, pal. Always
You as
great.
well.
And I know you have a lot of unpacking to do in the new place.
Oh, yes. 18-hour days of just heavy labor. Fun in the heat.
You know what? Teach Rocco to do some unpacking if you
Yes,
could.
right.
Hey,
Well, it's now the outdoor furniture was just delivered yesterday. I'm looking at it here on our patio. Of course, it does not come assembled. So here I am in the extreme heat with the extreme heat warning out there, sweating bullets, putting together patio furniture. So
perfect timing.
yay.
Perfect timing. Bring it into the AC. All right, Mike, have a good one. We'll catch you on Monday, sir. Thank you. In terms of traffic, really light right now. The roadways, no major problems to report at all. Let's just take a look at the approach to the GWB upper and lower level. You can see the 8095 approach is moving beautifully. We only have about a 15-minute crossover time into Manhattan. It's rare that the whole morning goes by like this, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of people have either gone down the shore, gotten out of the area, and gone on vacation because of Juneteenth and the long weekend. So that is extremely light. We only have about a 15-minute crossover at the Lincoln and 10 minutes at the Holland. It is 8:51, a major disruption for Monmouth County residents and businesses, the indefinite closure of the Route 71 bridge. Now, let me just bring up our caller here. I'm sorry, I should have done that first. The huge closure of the Route 71 bridge over Shark River, which is a vital link between Belmar and Avon by the Sea. Monmouth County has issued a strong statement calling for urgent action and better infrastructure planning. Joining us now by phone is Monmouth County Commissioner Tom Arnone. Commissioner Arnone, thanks for joining us.
Sure. Thank you, Ken. Thank you for having me
Well,
on.
you bet. This is a kind of it's a shock, but it shouldn't be at the same time, right? Because this bridge is nearly a century old. And the question is, why is it taking this long before they kind of realize we need to do something about it?
So, yeah, it is a little bit concerning. You know, we have basically about 900 county bridges throughout Monmouth County and some large structures. Quite frankly, we're doing one right now in Seabright Rumson that is roughly over about $130 million project there that we've had during the construction over the last 2 years. We have not closed the bridge one day there. We were able to strategically design the bridge where we could keep the existing bridge open during that period of time and not impact the residents and the businesses. In this case, you know, the state does it different. And, you know, I'm not going to be here and get on here and get critical of the state of New Jersey, but I will tell you that I think I could say that they had to believe that this needed to be corrected, and some preventive maintenance probably should have been done to not have this situation that we're in right now, which is really devastating to the local business. I'm from that region of the county, and I know the impact to the businesses, and the tourism season is going to be extremely disastrous to those businesses.
Tom, how would they get there now? Are there just regional bridges they'd have to go over and then drive all the way down on the
Yeah,
barrier
yeah,
bridge? Have to do it?
sure. So, Ken, the traffic in that area is really heavy, and we'll see that this weekend in particular. There, once we finally got no rain in the forecast here, we have three bridges. We have an Ocean Avenue Bridge, which is basically the county bridge there. Then you have the Highway 71 bridge, which is a state bridge, and then you also have the Highway 35 bridge there, which is also a state bridge, but that's a high span bridge. So it's not a drawbridge. The two drawbridges are 71 and Ocean Avenue there. So taking one of the areas of traffic away is going to flood the other areas and make bottleneck be extremely much more traffic bottlenecking in those two areas, those two roads.
And as fate would have it, this couldn't happen in October. It couldn't happen in January. It had to happen at the start of high season, when businesses don't businesses need this next couple of months to survive the year, right? To make the money right now.
Without a doubt, the tourism season is a short season. And, we at Monmouth County really try to promote extended tourism seasons into the October month. But at the end of the day, majority of your business and your revenue is during those 3 months there. And to have that impacted like it's going to, and, quite frankly, I was speaking at an event at one of the local businesses in Belmar on Saturday morning, and it was the business right over the bridge into Belmar. And, it's devastating. It truly is devastating, because really the detour around there, because Monmouth County has so many businesses, it will take people to other businesses because they won't deal with the impact of traffic there. Even though that might be one of their favorites to go to, they're going to go to alternative places because of the inconvenience.
That's so not fair to the local business owners. Many people, moms and pops, have worked for years and years. That really is so unfair. I know you've urged the New Jersey Department of Transportation to treat this with urgency. So what steps are you in the county taking to make sure they give you timely updates and a clear plan to address the closure and how to get this thing open ASAP?
So unfortunately, we can't do anything operational wise. I wish we could have a part of that, but we can't. It's a state bridge. But what we can do is be an extreme big advocate, and we're gonna, from my engineering department to our administration to myself, be a voice to our state legislators that we need to help our businesses. And I have to tell you, and this is. It's not to the level of the pandemic, okay, but it is to the level of, devastating to these businesses for the 3 months there. And we came through, I don't know if there's an ability to assist them with some sort of grants or anything to that ability why this is closed. But something should be looked at to help these businesses that are open for a short period of time, that are impacted, and quite frankly, impacted because maybe
I got to cut you only because we're out of time right here. But I just want to say, if they gave loans to businesses because of the I-80 problem, they should do the same thing here, because this is just not fair.
100%.
Come back, please.
100%.
Give us some
100%.
updates. Let us know what happens, Commissioner. Please be the liaison and let us know. Okay. Have a great one, sir. I'm sorry we're out of time. And that's on New Jersey Mornings. Have a good day.
Thank you.